I'm excited about the exchange is that I talked about the younger, the Gen Z and the millennial CMOs. They're learning how to have a voice, how to influence the CEO, how to influence the board, how to influence the C-suite. And we're seeing them increasingly have to take on the responsibility for AI strategy for the whole business.
Wow. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Ad Podcast. It's day 3 of Possible. We're on the final end of it, but it's been a fun week. We have Nerissa Sardi, who is the founder and CEO of CMO Exchange. Nerissa, thanks for coming on, saying hi.
Thanks for having me. So exciting to be here.
So, what is the CMO Exchange?
Well, CMO Exchange is a community that I've launched formally today.
Let's go.
Or
Awesome.
This week at
Congratulations.
Possible. Very excited.
Yeah.
And it's created on the foundation that marketers today have a very complicated existence and also a short tenure duration.
Yeah, 19 months, I think, is the
right,
new average.
Exactly
yeah.
right. And so you know without a shadow of a doubt that you're going to be looking
Or
for
the
next
role
gig.
is being eliminated completely, or it's being rolled into other titles like growth officer, commercial
That's
officer.
exactly
There's
right.
a lot of pressure on the CMO title.
Exactly, so
Yeah.
you get it. And so we're building a community that not only is in support of marketers who are in role, CMOs, but also a place and a community where when you're in transition, you have the cohorts and
That's
the support
great.
that you need. It's very lonely
Yeah,
for a
totally.
CMO, and we have a lot of goats. I get to talk to CMOs all the time globally, and it's very gloomy for them when they don't have the support they need to figure out how to get to that next level. That next
Interesting.
gig.
So what was it in your background that gave you the idea to come up with this? Why did you think this was something that the world needed, and why launch it at Possible?
That's right. Those are all great questions.
Yeah.
So for the last 3 years, I've actually been the executive director and the owner of an organization called Club CMO.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar.
Formerly the CMO Club.
Yep.
And I sold that successfully to another organization. And the thing that had always bothered me, because I have a CMO background for 15 or 20 years, I had been a CMO, and particularly mid-size and enterprise and divisions, was there was a little piece of substance from that community missing. And it's that element where I need to be thinking about my career in addition to thinking about the problems and solutions I'm trying to solve.
Yeah,
for
it's like
in
kind
the
of forward-looking and not just looking at like solving stuff in the role today,
That's
but
right.
more kind of ongoing professional development,
holistic career
et
arc,
cetera.
right?
Yep,
And there's
totally.
really nothing out there that's doing that, particularly for mid-size
Yeah.
CMOs. And there are about 200,000 mid-size businesses in this country,
Yep.
and they're not getting the type of support that we need. Last year and the year before, I ran between 75 and 80 events around the country.
Interesting.
Dinners and tent poles and clubhouses and lounges and things like that. So
Yeah,
really
I remember
do-
the South by ones back in the day.
so much fun,
yeah,
right?
Good
And
time.
I ran a couple of those.
Yep.
And it's very interesting to talk to these folks and listen to, and that's really what I was going for. Is like, what is it that you're needing? What's keeping you up at night? How are you thinking about planning your next move? And then we are increasingly getting more of what I call the young ones. So these are their future enterprise CMOs in
Yeah.
the mid-market. D2C is a great
Yeah,
example
yeah.
where they're rolling up their sleeves and really working on the meaty stuff. Whereas
Yeah,
in
they're
enterprise,
operators,
they're
and
operators,
they got their
but
hands on
strategic.
keyboards, and but
Exactly.
they're seeing things at the ground level of building a brand from the grassroots that is very applicable as they
That's right.
climb the career ladder.
And
Very
completely
quant
different.
focused.
That's right,
yeah.
and completely different from
And
these
missing some of the
folks.
brand foundation elements,
Yeah.
like could care less if they couldn't measure it. Right?
Yeah, right. And squeezing water from those rocks when you think about D2C and things
Yeah.
like that. And then the enterprise CMOs actually want to hear from
Yeah.
those folks, and so there is this opportunity.
There's like a mentorship component, but then also like a
They learn.
bilateral learning opportunity.
That's
Yeah,
right.
That's
and
pretty
so,
cool.
We have lots of opportunities with lots of vendors. So, I was walking out on the beach there, and I actually started out in programmatic, so I understand the ad
Yeah,
world and
you know
ad
the
business.
space.
But it's overwhelming, especially for a CMO. So creating the safe space and these intimate opportunities allows me to bring partners in who can actually tell and bring a CMO with them to tell stories how they're solving real problems. And it's that safe space, it's that intimate setting that really is what the CMOs are asking for, and that's what we're going to create here.
I love it. And I love you mention this idea of kind of like the career arc, like young CMOs who are evolving out of direct-to-consumer brands or early-stage startups are the enterprise and Fortune 1000 CMOs of the future. But then you see this emerging trend right now, the fractional CMO,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
And I spend a lot of time interviewing CMOs as well, and I do interview fractionals
Yep.
As long as they're legitimate.
Yep.
And because there's a lot of
We could
people
talk
out there
about that
calling,
too.
yeah, let's dive in because I would appreciate your point of view on that. But the legitimate ones and the ones that have these amazing tenured careers, most of the time that I ask them why be a fractional now, and it's because they want to have hands on keyboards. They actually want to have impact on smaller companies where they can do more of the operational work versus the kind of cultural politics slash like organizational design element that comes with being a CMO over a large organization with a large budget, a large agency roster, and 250 employees reporting up to them.
That's right.
They want to be practitioners again, and they do it for a handful of companies, and they're very fulfilled, and they're making great money doing it, and they get to actually feel what it's like to be a business operator and generate their own inbound. They have to create marketing for themselves as well.
Yep.
So be curious, how are you thinking about supporting CMOs that want that to be the next chapter and in a lot of ways the final chapter, so to speak,
That's right, late
of their
stage.
career. Yeah.
So there's a pillar inside CMO Exchange called Plan Your Next Move. And so it's not just helping those folks that are in transition, but really it's going to have folks who have been there. And I'm a consultant and a fractional and interim.
Sure.
Which is great. I love doing that because I still have my hands on things at the same time. And a lot of the late stage, let me answer the last question, a lot of the late stage CMOs now are thinking about what's next. So am I going to be a CEO? A COO? Am I going to write a book? Am I going to be a professor? There's all these other opportunities.
Board member.
Yeah. And we have all of those CMOs who come in ready and excited to talk about how they took those journeys to share with the folks that are considering those options. None of them are easy.
Some are being coaches too.
Many coaches. I have some fantastic coaches and advisors.
Yep.
And so we're going to build a directory of those folks. I call them the family. If you're an in-seat CMO and you're part of this community, of which I still have, from the last couple of years, 16 years actually being part of this community, you're going to want to hire from the people that have been in that seat. So it kind of answers that question.
Yeah, the credibility component.
credibility
It's like
issue.
if you didn't come from that world, then you can't just brand yourself fractional CMO without having earned your stripes, so to speak.
That's right.
Yeah.
And, I think there's still the industry as a whole has not kind of come to terms with, the enterprise has not come to terms with what a fractional can be and the value. There's a lot of skepticism out there, partly because of the quackery.
Yeah, just because there's like I haven't ran a search, but I imagine if you were to do fractional CMO as a title search, it's probably quite extensive, where there's only 18,000 CMOs in America, and that's of all sizes. So,
That's right.
So, I imagine the fractional title is much more pervasive, if you were to look for it.
Than it should be. And I think
it's like a rebranding of being a consultant.
Or an interim, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I've had some interim
Part-time.
roles. But I think there's a there, and if, the community itself could start to advocate for it, because if I'm only going to be in my role for 18 months, because CMOs are specialists in different, you talked about some people who want to be small, right? Some folks love to navigate,
Yeah, well, and especially a lot of these smaller companies, they're not looking for a long-term solution. They're looking for fixing either foundational problems, getting certain architectures in place, maybe hiring more junior people, but then you're no longer needed, and that's kind of the job, to some degree.
Yeah,
right?
so if that's the job, then right, we should be embracing as a category, this notion of fractional and a bench. And I do see, an uptick and an increase in people, CMOs understanding that, right, and being able to build, and CMOs bringing on CMOs to help them. And I have some roles like that where CMOs are busy managing the board and mergers and stuff like that, so I help manage the team and the strategy.
Smart.
Right, and so it's really more a matter of us really starting to define that in a way that CEOs understand. And we're still trying to get CEOs to understand what marketing is and why they need it, and building strategies. And I think what's very interesting now too, and why I'm excited about the exchange is that I talked about the younger, the Gen Z and the millennial CMOs. They're learning how to have a voice, how to influence the CEO, how to influence the board, how to influence the C-suite. And we're seeing them increasingly have to take on the responsibility for AI strategy for the whole business.
Wow.
And if those things don't go together unless you have the expertise and the opportunity to be able to articulate your story. And the reasons why it's important and the reasons why you're credible. And that's what I'm excited about.
Very cool. Why launch it possible?
Well, It's Miami, and it's
Let's go.
amazing. And I have friends here. My friends at Portrait Media were kind
perfect,
enough
yeah.
to give me some space when
Yeah.
they didn't have programming.
That's awesome.
It was really exciting there are CMOs here that are part of my network and
Nice.
part of the former communities to be able to say hello. And it was just a really exciting way to splash.
Cool. And so the plan moving forward is events, online community, anything else that I'm missing?
Yeah, we have an online platform, which is
Okay.
where a lot of the opportunities for people to connect in between in-person events. And then, we're already launched in Portland,
Nice.
Milwaukee next week,
Oh,
Chicago. We'll be in Nashville, Austin, Texas,
Amazing.
San Diego.
Let's
so
go.
maybe,
Well,
maybe you can come visit our
Hey,
San Diego
if you
event.
you need a moderator
Yeah.
or somebody just to cover and
Yes.
show people
Yeah.
what it's all about.
Yeah,
be
so
glad to
very
check it out.
excited, and we're also international. So Sydney already launched. They're very excited about CMO Exchange.
So is it going to be kind of chapter based too?
A
Like
little
it-
bit
yeah.
regional, but my goal is, if you're a member, you're getting your value, but I want to give more value than
Yeah.
that. So if you can't come to a dinner or an event, at least, there's going to be conversations that are virtual, that are of value. And
Yeah.
so not just solving my work problems, but also providing, the kind of career support and the vision and the strategy for the future for each of us.
Pretty exciting. Well, if there are CMOs who want to learn more, and I imagine you'll need a partner ecosystem to make sure it's all paid for.
That's
So
exactly right.
If folks want to learn more, where do you want to send them
You
to?
should go to
clue in?
cmoexchange.com, or you can see me on LinkedIn, Nerissa Sardi, and everything's there.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you. It's
Pleasure.
really great. Thank you so much
Bye-bye.
for giving me the moment.